And look at this. Howard dropped for a big loss. Leggett handed it off to Howard. Leggett already had a defender draped all over him, and it's a loss of 9.
You talk about a big league play. Watch this. Williams coming across. Now, he sat out last year. He had some problems. No block on him. It's a lookout block. Just comes through, makes the tackle there, but he's so big, 295 pounds, just bowled over the reverse man.
2nd and 19. Play action fake. Gerback going for it all to Howard. Touchdown, Michigan. Elvis Gerback fires Michigan right back into this game. A touchdown pass to his old high school teammate, Desmond Howard. The duo out of St. Joseph's High School in the Cleveland area. Carlson on the attempt. Solomon will hold. And it's good. 3:56 to go before the intermission. 14-10 Notre Dame.
Watch the top of your screen. He ran a post pattern. Derek Alexander, number 1, you'll see him come clear on the screen. He was wide open across the middle. See him? But instead, they went to Desmond Howard. He calls himself Magic Man. Says when he gets the ball, magic happens. Gerbeck told us last week when we were up in Ann Arbor, said he was my tailback when we played high school ball together. And there's a feel there. We just have a great chemistry. I know what he's going to do at all times. He just cleared on the post. The ball was waiting for him when he got to the end zone. Touchdown, Michigan. Back in this.
George Poorman, the safety, number 27, got turned around. And touchdown to Howard. The Michigan coaches told us, do not be deceived. Yes, we lost Callaway and McMurtry, but we do have big play abilities out of our young receivers.
Just got caught in a zone. He split the seam between them. Notre Dame showed what they call a cover 5. It looks like a 2-deep zone. They kept 4 defensive backs in the ball game, however, and they just stayed in the zone. He came through the seam between the safety.
Interesting, the Rocket is not back deep to receive the kick. It's Rodney Culver. And Culver takes it at the 6. Down at the 22-yard line. It's now time to present this week's Toyota Leadership Award to the team players who have been singled out by their school's coaching and faculty staff for outstanding performance in the areas of team contributions, academics, and citizenship. And today's game team leadership winners, John Milligan from the University of Michigan, and from Notre Dame, Rick Meyer, very active in his community, working with the police department back in Goshen. Good to have Toyota back with us on the Leadership Award. And 1st and 10, Brooks on the carry, tackled at the 26-yard line by Anderson. Mentioned it earlier, Tony Brooks, George Williams, Michael Stonebreaker, the 3 of them returning for the Irish after missing last season.
Well, those 3 players have faced adversity. They violated rules or suffered academic problems, the scrutiny that comes with it, victims of the stern value system that is Notre Dame. But all 3 now say they've conformed, redirected, they're back mentally prepared to help this club and do well academically.
2nd and 7, rolling left. Meyer will throw on the run, has his man, Adrian Gerald. First down, Notre Dame at the 35-yard line. Tackled by Otis Williams.
Rick Meyer's pass complete to Adrian Gerald.
Wait, what I thought was amusing was Tony Brooks. He said he learned the hard way to listen to Coach Holtz. He says, you know, he told a couple of teammates this, in fact, in a speech before the team. There are companies, corporations around the country who pay Coach Holtz thousands of dollars a pop to come hear him speak. We get to listen to him for free every day. Culver on the run on 1st down. Tackled at the 38 by Welburn. How about the University of Florida? Steve Melnick, our golf commentator, told us the Gators this year were going to be extremely tough, and they've opened up with 2 impressive victories, smashing Oklahoma State last week and then handing Alabama its 2nd loss in 2 games today.
As soon as Steve Spurrier took that job, I knew Florida was going to be tough. Certainly one of the young up-and-coming coaches in college football.
Melnick and Spurrier were roommates at the University of Florida. Screen pass to Culver. Spins around. Osmond has him at the 40. It'll set up about 3rd and 4, and 2 minutes remaining in the first half.
Since Michigan scored that touchdown, you can just see a different attitude in this team, and that's exactly what defense is. It's attitude. Hunt and confront, and that's what Michigan's doing now. Fly into the football. This is a big 3rd down play, but they set up the screen that time, and everybody ran to the football. There was great pursuit. There was containment on the outside, and the corner filled effectively.
The receivers come to the right side. Smith, Gerald, and Brooks. They throw it to Smith, who's hit right as he catches it and is stopped shy of the first by Otis Williams. Let's go down to the Dockster now on the sidelines. John?
Hey, Jim, if you're like me, you've been wondering where the Rocket is. Well, I just checked the whole sidelines. He's nowhere on the sidelines. A couple of trainers took him to the locker room a couple of minutes ago, and there's no word on exactly what the problem is, although there's rumor that he may have gotten popped in the ribs. I'll follow up on that and keep you posted.
All right. To punt now, Hendrick, under a minute to go in the 2nd quarter. This will bounce around. Welburn lets it go, and look at this, inside the 10-yard line and down at the 5.
You know what we talked about earlier? The 4 don'ts of the kicking game. Don't let the ball hit the ground. That's the consequence right there. 53-yard punt, and now Michigan is backed up just outside their own 5.
Next Saturday on CBS, we have baseball coming your way starting at noon Eastern. The Cardinals and Pirates. Many will see that. Others will watch the Red Sox in a battle of their own in the AL East. They'll play the Yankees, and that'll be followed by regional coverage. Most of the nation will see San Diego State BYU. We'll be at that one, Timmy. Others will watch Alabama versus Georgia.
Watching Ty Detmer in that game 2 weeks ago, I thought it was one of the best performances by a young quarterback that I had seen under that kind of pressure, under that kind of scrutiny, performing for the Heisman against another candidate. But today he comes back and throws 5 touchdown passes and brings them from behind.
Had to do it, too. That team was lifeless in the first half, down 22. Bunch on the carry inside. Michigan's not going to try anything fancy here before the half. And, of course, coming up at halftime, as we see a Notre Dame timeout signal.
Devo, hey, Stoney, come here.
That's Gary Darnell, the new defensive coordinator. His philosophy is rooted in the South. He believes in disruption, hunt, and confront mentality.
Come on!
"37 seconds before the half. Notre Dame leading over Michigan 14-10. It was 14-3 at the end of the first quarter. Notre Dame took a timeout here. They have 2 remaining in the half. 2nd and 6 for the Wolverines. Vaughn. First down, Michigan. Out past the 20 to the 24-yard line, tackled by George Williams. A gain of 15.
Tackle made by George Williams.
Now another timeout signal from the officials. And we can tell you the report from the Notre Dame locker room is in. The Rocket has a bruised sternum, and we do not know how serious or whether he'll be back tonight. We'll follow through on that story. That was a Michigan timeout called. 2 remaining for the Wolverines.
I can tell you what that means, though, to this ball game. A lot of people compare Rocket's presence in this offense to that of Timmy Brown's. Now, the only way Timmy Brown wouldn't get the ball when he was here is if the defense intercepted the snap. I mean, he was going to be involved in every play.
Yes.
They moved him around. But Rocket has more talent surrounding him. So they try to keep him in the ball game and mix things up. But the defense still is giving him more attention than anybody else. As a matter of fact, they've got a spy on him most of the time. So if he's out of the ball game, Michigan can now just free up, put that other guy back in the regular flow of the defense and concentrate more on just defensive football.
You know where that injury happened, I'm sure, was on that reverse run by the Rocket earlier in this quarter where he picked up 12 yards. I would think that would be the play. Florida State joining the ACC this week. And tonight, jolting Georgia Southern 48-6. How about Florida State in the ACC?
I think ACC Commissioner Gene Corrigan deserves a lot of credit for getting them in there. It's mutually beneficial. It'll help Florida State in basketball. It'll help the ACC in football.
They also firmed up a deal this week, the Seminoles and the Irish, for a home-and-home series in 93 and 94. First and 10. They'll still run it. Bunch has it. And a gain of 9.
I hope we're doing that game.
Well, we won't be doing the game at South Bend. The other game,
that's a fact.
Yes, that one's a fact. The other game of that series will be played in Orlando, not in Tallahassee, in Orlando.
There will be a measurement.
13 seconds left in the first half and a measurement.
They've pushed this ball out fairly nicely from the 5-yard line where they started. This is a first down. But only 13 seconds remain. You just don't want to make a mistake here. They already turned the ball over earlier in the game. It hurt them. It led to a Notre Dame touchdown. You don't want to make a mistake here.
He sends Alexander to the right, Howard to the left. Showing an I formation. Oh, Alexander is out there. So is Todd Light, however. He bats it down and the half ends. That's the end of the first half with the score. Notre Dame 14, Michigan 10. Will return after this message and a word from your local station.
CBS Sports coverage of tonight's CFA game is sponsored by Today's Chevrolet, who invite you to see why nobody's winning like the heartbeat of America. Northwest Airlines, helping people do business in Asia for over 40 years. And by Coors Light, the one that won't slow you down. The Silver Bullet is the right beer now.
Welcome back to Notre Dame. It's the Irish leading the Wolverines 14-10. And just before the half, you may recall that Rocket Ismail was hurt on a reverse play. And the diagnosis from the locker room, I talked to the doctor and the trainer, is that he has bruised ribs. It happened when he ran a reverse, and we'll see it coming up right now. Take a look at the Rocket lower part of your screen. He will take the reverse here, and it actually doesn't happen, at least this is what the trainers told me, when he gets hit, but rather when he falls on the ball at the end of this play. Watch Osmond, number 94, come in and lay a good lick on him right there, and then he goes down and the ball gets jammed against his ribs. But they said that the Rocket is not seriously hurt. They took x-rays. He has gone out in the field, and the decision is his. If he can play with the pain, and it is a painful injury, then the Rocket will contribute the rest of the night. And I believe he's out in the field. Back to you, Jim.
Doc, he does have a rib pad on. It looks like he's wearing a chest protector now, so he is back out on the field. But can you see it, Jim? It looks like he's padded pretty heavily.
Yes. So he will not be running the Rocket to his full velocity, but he will come back and return the second half kickoff. Remember, a year ago, he ran the second half kickoff back for a touchdown, and then later in the second half had another one.
As a freshman, he led the nation in kickoff returns. Last season, you mentioned those two big ones. There's nobody more dangerous at this aspect on special teams than the Rocket. J.D. Carlson to start the second half. Kicked away from him. Yes, he did this time. It's coming to Jeff Burris, freshman. And out of Rock Hill, South Carolina. And I mentioned that because number 9, Burris, is wearing Tony Rice's old number. How about the halftime statistics here?
Michigan on the big pass play for a touchdown, leading in that yardage mark. Rushing per play, Michigan with a better average.
0 for 5 for Michigan third down conversions. Haven't been able to get the big one. How about Meyer now? He's 6 for 9 passing, and he's had 1 completion to 6 different guys.
Out throwing. Myers' pass to start the second half is caught by Tony Smith, junior from Gary, Indiana. I mentioned Tony Rice a moment ago. Tony is playing in Canada for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. He is their third-team quarterback and will dress for his first game this season tomorrow night, because there's a new league rule up there which says you have to dress 3 quarterbacks. Otherwise, he'd be in street clothes again. It's been a rough ride, I guess you could say. Rodney Culver on 2nd and short has the first down.
He is not the first quarterback from Notre Dame, I may add, has gone to Canada. And that Joe Theismann did that. Joe Theismann, Clements. Theismann went up, played up there, and eventually was property of Miami. They traded him to Washington and had that brilliant career.
First down, Notre Dame to start off. A little pass completion, a carry by Culver. Leading 14-10. They send the 3 receivers left. Brooks, Ismail, and Smith. 1st and 10. Culver near midfield, tackled by Brian Townsend.
Minus 5. John Milligan on the tackle.
Goodyear Blimp America tonight with us at Notre Dame Stadium. 30th year that the Goodyear Blimp has televised college football. It all started, in fact, at the Orange Bowl, 1960. Our Frank Trukinian, longtime director, brought in the blimp for that game, and it's been a regular at sporting events ever since. 2nd down, 5. Inside give this time. Culver, only a yard, runs into that wall of Wolverines. Ismail is in the game. Not only did he get in there for the kick return team, but he's staying for this series of downs for Notre Dame. Rodney Culver had a difficult role here, filling in for Anthony Johnson, who was so underrated as the fullback at Notre Dame. Now playing for the Colts, Anthony Johnson. But Culver, a good game tonight. Brooks in the flat, and the pass was behind him. So 4th down, the Irish will be punting.
You know what's interesting about that series? Michigan that time took their Wolfman, their strong safety, Trip Wellborn. Instead of just staying at strong safety in that spot, cocking him at the hash or moving him up, they had him shadow Rocket. He almost played corner the last time when Rocket went over there. He's playing man-to-man on this move.
New punter in here. This is Jimmy Sexton. He was the punter in '88 when they won the national championship. Now he's in there tonight. Handles the low snap. Wellborn inside the 10, fields it, and drops to a knee at the 15. Lance Johnson on the tackle, number 59.
Jim, the reason they make that switch with the punter is because anytime they're inside the 50, they'll go to Sexton. He's their pooch punter. They tried to get it to the side inside the 10.
You can imagine how the senior class at Michigan feels about this game. They're 0 for the career so far, playing against the Irish. Greg Skrepenek, an offensive lineman, had comments about his play last year.
Personally, I feel like I laid an egg in the game. Bo came up to me after the game a little bit and said, you know, I think you were trying too hard, which he might have been right, because you know, I was so intense that game. I wanted to just kill everyone I went against. And you could see in the films that I spent more time on my face that game than I did blocking anybody. Right after that game, I was depressed and not, you know, not in the greatest of moods, and I wanted to play Notre Dame right then and there again. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way, and I had to wait another year.
This is the guy that, Tim, you mentioned earlier, 322 pounds, and he's lost 50. He says football is controlled aggression.
When Michigan came back for summer ball, Moeller says, hey, we've got our own Rocket. His name's Skrepnik. Lean, mean Wolverine, 322 pounds.
He's from the Rockets' hometown. Played against him. Their high schools played one another in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. First down, Gerbeck on target to Howard. Gerbeck's pass to the 36-yard line in a game of 21 on the play.
Hit made by Sean Smith.
Second half philosophy has not changed. No huddle.
Watch the pass blocking up front on this. Again, they are strong on technique. They set, they extend their arms. The arms can be used. They have to stay within the body below the shoulders, and they do that very well.
First and 10 from the 36. Screen left side to Vaughn. Vaughn breaking some tackles and near the first down yardage at the 46, a gain of 10.
Gain of 11 and a first down.
Vaughn played defense until last year. He was an All-American defensive back in high school, and they switched him over, and he's been extremely strong. They needed help in that position, obviously, with the injuries and graduation, and he's filled in admirably.
Van Dyne to the left, Alexander to the right. First down for Michigan. Play action fake. Flag is down. It's Van Dyne at midfield on the reception. Twisted down by Stonebreaker.
This might be our guy, Holding.
Holding. Offense.
Skrepnik was in the area. Also, Jared Bunch was back there, too. They were trying to protect their quarterback in the backfield. I'll tell you one thing about Michigan, Jim. They're mixing their plays extremely well. Gary Moeller told us this Michigan team was not going to be as conservative, perhaps, as it has been in the past. Right now, 16 passes and 20 runs, so it's almost 50-50.
People don't realize that last year, Michigan threw the ball 250 times in the season, an average of 20 passes per game. It's very un-Schembechler-like. And they had the leading passer in the Big Ten with Michael Taylor. Michigan State and Syracuse ended a tie at 23. The Rockets' brother, Kadri, plays for the Orangemen. First and 20 after the holding penalty against the Wolverines. Fake into the line. Gerbeck sideline route to Howard. Howard with a gain of 19 to the 45 of Notre Dame. You can see the confidence mounting now for Elvis Gerbeck.
Just watch how composed he is. He's a quiet, studious type. Tries to rationalize every situation, approaches the game very cerebrally, just sits in there despite the blitz, and just pops it out to the outside with a lot of velocity.
Second down, 1. Bunch breaks free to the 39-yard line. First down for the Wolverines. 10:34 left in the third quarter, and it's 14-10 Notre Dame.
Did you see Gerbeck that time? He handed off to the dive man, then carried out the fake like it was an option. He just kind of nonchalantly came around the corner, and all of a sudden Bunch was right next to him, still running.
Well, he described himself as laid back off the field, but very focused on the field. Tall, rangy guy for a quarterback. First and 10, Michigan. Again, it's Bunch. And another nice gain, just plowing forward to the Notre Dame 31-yard line. Sean Smith on the tackle.
Michigan is really starting to strap it on now. They're playing very physically. The offensive line is finally starting to exert itself. Finally, they've been doing it the whole game. The running game has been very strong for Michigan.
Second down, 2. Rushing yards very even, but per carry, the Wolverines have the advantage tonight. Yardage per carry. Second and short. Picking up a yard. Vaughn, tackled by Don Grimm. Well, the biggest question for Gary Bowler coming into this game tonight was his inexperience with the people that handle the football. And I think they passed the tests easily so far. 3rd down 1. This is where they've had problems. Vaughn has the 1st down as he races down the sidelines inside the 20. Bunch with a good block in front for Vaughn, who now is over 100 yards with this carry. 14 rushes, 106 yards for John Vaughn.
Look at everybody lying down, though, on the defense along. They've all been cut or blocked or pancaked down on the sidelines. This offensive line, we mentioned, great lead blockers, block down and kick outs, one-on-one base blockers.
1st and 10 from the 19. Vaughn up the middle, hurtling forward to the 4-yard line. 1st and goal.
Watch the fullback right here. Fullback's right here, tailback. They're just going to bring him up the middle. Now it's just power football. See the trap play right here on the right side? Outstanding blocks on the linebackers. He just takes it up and over.
1st and goal. Wishbone formation. They'll throw out of it. Gerback incomplete. Went to Alexander. Todd Light on the coverage. Michigan was given 5,000 tickets for this game, and the bulk of the students who made the 3-hour journey from Ann Arbor are in the top portion of your screen, right huddled together in that end zone, hoping to cheer on the Wolverines to a go-ahead touchdown. Inside, Jefferson. No signal. Offensive line for the Wolverines. Thought he was across. Rod Smith and Andre Jones on the tackle, but just shy of the goal line. Defensive coordinator Gary Darnell, who was an interim coach last year in Florida, takes over for Barry Alvarez, instructing his team 3rd and goal for the Wolverines. Flag is down as Andre Jones was trying to sneak off the field. They had 12 men on the field.
Hey, Andre. Hey, Andre. Andre. The player left the field
At the
to
back
the
line.
end zone against Notre Dame. It's half the distance to the goal line.
Told you that Andre was trying to sneak into the student body. Kind of hard when you're 6'3", 210 pounds.
They were all wacky. That time they had 12 guys on the field, and then he went up in the stands to watch here.
It only gives Michigan maybe an index card closer to the goal line. It is 3rd down. Jefferson. Michigan takes the lead. Play drive covering 85 yards. First Michigan possession of the 2nd half. Carlson on the extra point. The conversion is good. Flag is down, however. There is a flag down on the PAT.
Michigan set this play up with a cross bucket counter in the middle. Notre Dame bunched inside, and you can see they went back to the outside. It was Devin McDonald, number 45, who loses containment on the outside. He gets caught inside. Now watch. Here comes the play, and the contained man, 45, gets caught. Great block by Tony McGee, number 88, the tight end. Held him inside, couldn't let him out. No containment out there. And Jefferson just scored on the corner.
The infraction is against Notre Dame. It will be assessed on the kickoff. It is 17-14 Michigan.
One thing playing outside, if you're the contain man, you got to keep your outside free. You can't get caught inside. You've got to contain, and he did not do it.
Notre Dame has won 17 straight at home, but they're trailing midway third.
Welcome back to a packed house here at Notre Dame Stadium. The Irish trailing for the first time, 17-14. Just to update you on Rocket Ismail. I talked to some of the trainers. He is not wearing any extra padding. Originally, he had a little bit on there, but I watched him during the timeout. He's out there on the kickoff. He seemed fine. He said to all his teammates, hey, I'm fine. I'm going to play. And he's out there to return the kickoff right now. Jim?
Well, it's interesting to note that Michigan will kick from right at midfield at the 50. It was an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty against Notre Dame on the point after try. It's now assessed on the kickoff, and the Wolverines have a lot of options from this point.
Breath of fresh air. Now we're going to come back. You got the a little bit more. But we still will throw that ball. They got it. Texans in court.
Michigan has come back from a 14-3 deficit to take the lead. Carlson just elects to boot it through the end zone, and Notre Dame will begin from the 20. And we will begin tomorrow at 12:30 Eastern Time with the NFL Today. Greg Gumbel and Terry Bradshaw, Leslie Visser and Pat O'Brien. Will be followed by doubleheader action. The Bears and Green Bay, that great rivalry. Others will see Phoenix, Philadelphia, the Rams, Tampa Bay, and the Falcons against Detroit. Late, the Redskins at the 49ers. Giants, Dallas, and the Saints, Minnesota. Check your local listings.
Tell me Jerry Glanville's not controversial. Called Jack Pardee a jerk, then apologized. He'll be on the NFL Today tomorrow.
There's Brooks on the carry. Did he fumble the football? They're fighting for it. The ball was free. I did not see an indication that he was down.
You should see the bottom of some of these pileups. I mean, hands are flying in there. It's like a wrestling match. Guys are trying to do the Granby roll in there, trying to get the ball away. Look at it. It's like a scrum in rugby. Whoever ends up with the ball by the time the official comes down, there's John Sophie. He says Michigan has it.
Oh, what a big play this is. Tony Brooks fumbles. Mike Evans recovers, and the Wolverines have the football at the 25 of Notre Dame.
Here it is again. Take a look at it. Brooks has it knocked out right there. It was David Key and Otis Williams. It looked like Key's helmet hit the ball. Just stripped it free. And now I'm not so sure that it was Michigan that had it originally. But at the bottom, it doesn't matter. If you can get that ball away from whoever has it by the time the official gets there, you got it. You deserve it.
Mike Evans, a former walk-on, now a starter at defensive tackle, recovers. There he is, number 92. And the Wolverines come right back out. Single back set. It's bunched behind Gerbeck. Two tight ends, McGee and Diebold. Throwing left side to Howard. Howard gets away from the defender and scampers in for the touchdown.
Did you see Lou? He looked at his team. He said, we'll come back. We'll come back. The master of motivation, trying to keep them in the ball game. Doesn't want the young kids to hang their head. I can see why Howard calls himself Magic.
That's 2 touchdowns tonight. 5 receptions, 121 yards. Extra point is good. A 10-point lead for Michigan. The Magic Man shakes free.
Howard says every time he touches it, magic happens. It's just a quick screen right out to the wide receiver. Look at this, quick pop. Now Howard does the rest of this on his own. This is just poor tackling. There's Rod Smith, missed the tackle. The safety couldn't support. Here comes Greg Davis, 26, but it's too late for him.
For the second time in 5 minutes, Michigan scores a touchdown into the frenzied Michigan student body section.
Bradshaw and CBS Sports Control. Tomorrow on the NFL Today, we'll take a look at Atlanta Falcons coach Jerry Glanville. He's a self-styled individualist, and it takes one to know one.
You know, he tells it like it is, whether the next man like it or not, and he's going to do what Coach Jerry Glanville wants to do.
Also tomorrow, we'll update you on the quarterback controversy in Green Bay. So join us at 12:30 Eastern Time on the NFL Today. Right now, let's send you back to South Bend.
24-14 Michigan. Short kick to Jeff Burris. And he returns it to the 36.
How quickly things change. This is where Notre Dame hadn't turned the ball over against Michigan in 2 years. All of a sudden, here comes Tony Brooks. Watch this now as he gets through the line of scrimmage. Here comes number 26, David Key. There's number 17, Otis Williams. They strip the ball, turnover. Now Michigan comes right back with great field position. Gerbeck looks out on the quick screen for Desmond Howard. Just a wide receiver pop. Set, throws, boom. Now here comes the corner. Misses the tackle. That's Rod Smith. Number 21. No support coming from the safety. And Desmond Howard takes it in for the touchdown.
From the 36, Meyer rolling on first down. Firing to the rocket at midfield and out of bounds. Notre Dame took the field on offense with Ricky Waters pumping his fist in the air and waving at the crowd to come on, let's go.
Jim, I can tell you this, Notre Dame knows how to handle pressure. It's gone into 16 of its last 18 games, ranked number 1. Lou Holt says pressure is when you're not adequately prepared. He says this team is prepared.
First down right at midfield. Out of the eye, they fake to Waters. Pass across the middle, ruled incomplete. John Milligan knocked it away. Derek Brown, the tight end, was the target. Second down and 10. A rocket, couldn't hold on. Right in his hands, coming across the middle. 1 point should be made now. Lou Holtz said before the game, he stressed to Rick Meyer, you do not have to win this game for us. Just do not fumble any exchanges or handoffs.
Went right through Rocket's hands. You know what they did? They had Trip Welburn on him man for man. He looked inside at the quarterback, and when he did, Rocket made his cut inside and had him beaten. Just couldn't make the catch.
Don't you believe now, though, Holtz has to put a little more pressure on the sophomore quarterback than he had intended coming in?
Absolutely. He's forced to now. Here comes Wilburn on the blitz.
Wilburn got him back at the 42-yard line. Trip Wilburn. No time to set up this time. And Trip Welburn on the blitz, the safety blitz, ends the Notre Dame drive. We have 6:40 left in the third quarter. Michigan with a 10-point lead, about to get the football again. That's Hendrick punting. A liner to Welburn, taking it at the 16, up the middle. Trip Welburn, his second good return of the night. He had one return of 38 yards in the first half, This one measured 22 yards on the return.
Greg Davis on the tackle.
At the conclusion of tonight's game, we'll be selecting a Chevrolet Most Valuable Player of the Game from each team. And for the 20th consecutive year, through the Chevrolet Scholarship Program, $1,000 will be donated to the General Scholarship Fund of each school. From the 38-yard line, split backs, Bunch and Vaughn. Bunch is hit immediately after the exchange. Zorich, Kowalkowski. Zorich exchanging a few pushes with the Wolverines. One thing about Chris, he does not even allow his own teammates to pick him up off the turf after he makes a tackle. He'll brush them away. They know better.
That was a big league play right there, and the new aggressive style of the defensive coordinator Darnell, they let him come free more often, just penetrate like that.
Second down, 12, play action. Gerback has his man. It's Vaughn to the 46-yard line, about 3 yards shy of the first. Stonebreaker and Dubose on the tackle. And let's ask John Dockery, former defensive back for the New York Jets. Does this defense look like it's getting a little tired out there, Notre Dame, Doc?
You know, Jim, I watched them during that whole series when they came off the field before, and Stonebreaker, Dahl, and Zorich and those guys just sat on the bench very quietly. They are tired. A big offensive line from Michigan is taking its toll on them. Back to you, Jim.
3rd and 2. Will the offensive line lead the way for another first down? Yes, they do. Vaughn has the first down, and more to the 40, and down at the 39. Tackled aggressively by Greg Davis, but 15 yards for Vaughn.
Just watch the blocks. You're talking about the guys wearing the defense down. Look up front. There's a hole that you could have run through that time. And Vaughn just made use of it. He got in a secondary, and Davis tagged him pretty good.
1st and 10 for Michigan from the Notre Dame 39. Bunch is the lone back. Quickly to Howard. That was the scoring play a moment ago. This time, first down picked up. A gain of 11. Tackled at the 28-yard line. 6 receptions, 132 yards for Desmond Howard.
How about this? 169 yards passing, 169 yards rushing.
I call that balance
for Michigan. It's impossible to stop a play like that. Just a 2-3 step drop, fire it. Can't get to the quarterback, and he puts a burden on the secondary.
Another first down for the Wolverines. Van Dyne is in to the left. Alexander to the right. Notre Dame showing blitz. They run it with Vaughn, a 2-yard gain, tackled by Bob Dahl.
Bob Dahl on the tackle.
Dodgers shut out Cincinnati. The West is getting tight in the National League. Houston wins in 10. Pittsburgh's 4th loss in a row, and their lead now, the Pirates' lead, is down to a half game as the Mets victorious over Philadelphia. A new tailback in the game, Ricky Powers. He was in on one play in the first half. It was the long touchdown pass to Howard. He returns. He's a freshman from Akron, Ohio. 2nd and 8. Gerback gets away from the rush and throws it away wisely. Scott Kowalkowski coming on, forcing Gerback to throw it away.
Told you that he's a cerebral type quarterback, very intelligent, very poised. That time Jared Bunch broke the play. He went the wrong way. He knows it. He was hanging his head, but he just stopped. Gerback was in trouble. He should have gone back and thrown a block to help Gerback back, but all of a sudden the smart quarterback just threw it away.
It's a 10-point lead for Michigan. 3:30 to go, 3rd quarter. Threatening again at the Notre Dame 26-yard line, 3rd and 8. Vaughn is in the open. Tackled at the 18-yard line, very close to a first, but I believe he's a half-yard short. Zorich came downfield, made the tackle with Don Grimm.
Don Grimm, the brother of Russ Grimm, plays for the Washington Redskins, one of the original Hogs, watching tonight out at San Francisco, getting ready for the 49ers tomorrow.
Well, they're not even going to measure for it, and they're not even going to think about going for it on 4th and less than a yard. They bring out Carlson for a 36-yard field goal attempt. He made his only attempt tonight from 38 yards from the right hash mark. Carlson's kick is wide to the left. He missed only once last year. He was 13 of 14 in the 1989 season, but misses here from 36 yards. So Notre Dame will take over at the 20-yard line. We talked so much about Rick Meyer. He was at this game 2 years ago on a recruiting visit to Notre Dame. At that point, trying to make up his mind, would he play for Michigan or would he play for the Irish? With the Rocket in the backfield, he gets the carry and gets stuffed for a big loss. Hutchison and Osmond. I don't know how the ribs feel right now after this one.
He also took the pads off, Doc was telling us. Good feel. You know, he is a throwback. Talking about Rocket, he's not a specialist. He's what I call an anything player. Anything for the team and talented enough to play anything he wants. He's fast. First time we've seen him at tailback tonight.
Culver is the lone back now. 3 receivers for Notre Dame, including the Rocket. Second and long. Meyer dancing around. Incomplete. Culver didn't look like he was ready for it.
Does Notre Dame look a little bit rattled to you?
Absolutely. That play, there was great confusion.
Gary Moeller told us that Michigan needs 24 points to beat Notre Dame. They've got 24 points on the board right now.
It's pretty good projection, huh?
So have a quarter to play, but right now the offense looks out of sync, out of rhythm. The defense is playing on its heels, not running to the football very well.
3 receivers to the right. 3rd and 15 for Notre Dame. Meyer. Pass is caught off the deflection. Off the hands of the Rocket and then caught by Lake Dawson. A sensational grab.
Pick up of 45 yards. Lake Dawson, just a freshman, best pass catcher in practice through the preseason drills. He's got big hands. He says he used to carry silly putty to school with him and just squeeze it all day. This was just attention here. Forget the hands. Great concentration on the tip.
Option pitch to Waters. Waters trying to cut back to the inside, gets to the 33-yard line. I think Lake Dawson is going to have a big career ahead of him at Notre Dame. He'll never forget his first reception for the Irish.
Comes from the Pacific Northwest. Watch this. There's the All-American. Rocket can't hold on. Ball's a little bit behind him, goes through, and there's Lake Dawson. You know, this is called Notre Dame on the lake. They call it Notre Dame du Lac, French. And all the team players at Notre Dame, they call Lake Dawson du Lac because it means in French lake.
2nd down 3. Culver just maybe a half-yard shy of the first down. Tackled by Eric Anderson and David Key. Yes, it'll be 3rd and a yard. They send in Irv Smith as a second tight end to join Derek Brown.
Don't forget that play. Put that in your memory bank because they were rattled a little bit, really out of rhythm, and all of a sudden a missed play turns into a huge play for the Irish.
Absolutely. Inside Culver, first down Notre Dame. A quick burst to the 28-yard line. Final minute of the 3rd quarter. A 10-point lead for Michigan. And again, that was a 3rd and 15 play where they picked up the 44 yards. Their confidence suddenly recharged. could be the final play of the third quarter. Little trickery. It's the Rocket on the reverse. Does not fool Michigan. Tackled by Neil Simpson and David Key. Clock stopped with 1 second to go in the third. It's Lake Dawson about to shuttle in the play from Lou Holtz.
Has an unusual body. I was watching him in practice on Thursday. He's got huge calves, and he's got real big, strong, long arms. Looks more like a linebacker.
Ever seen a linebacker with those kind of hands?
Look at those calves.
Second down play. 2nd and 7. Culver was about to go down and scooted forward for an extra gain of 5 yards. He gets inside of the 20 as we end the third quarter with the score, Michigan 24, Notre Dame 14. Our coverage will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
CBS Sports coverage of tonight's CFA game is sponsored by UPS. For guaranteed overnight delivery from coast to coast, UPS runs the tightest ship in the shipping business. United Airlines, serving over 200 cities in the U.S. and around the world. Come fly the friendly skies. And by Thrifty Car Rental, because it's your money.
1 quarter to go, with Michigan leading by 10. And the game summary to this point, second half yards, Michigan well in front. And yes, there has been an Elvis sighting. There had to be one pun tonight. Gerback, 187 yards, 2 touchdowns. Vaughn, well over 100 yards rushing. 10-point lead, but the Irish digging down deep and driving. They begin the fourth quarter facing a challenging 3rd and 1 at the 19-yard line. Culver picks up the first. Down to the 17-yard line.
8 runs, 1 pass on this drive for Notre Dame. They're just trying to force things now conservatively but strongly and methodically and take it down on Michigan. Plenty of time left in the ball game. They just don't want to make mistakes. Actually, it'd be a good time to throw now that they've run 8 times.
Well, he sends Tony Smith to the right, Ismail to the left. Brown to tight end, tucked in on the left side. I formation. Option time. Meyer on the keep. Swallowed up after 2 yards by Neil Simpson and Mike Evans. Let's get a report now from John Dockery. John?
You know, Jim, it's more of a question than a report. I want to know where in the world is number 86, Derek Brown. Think about the situation. You have a guy who's 6'7". You have a young quarterback. You're playing against a team that has playing a lot of zone. The easiest throw in the world is to the big tight end, yet Notre Dame has used him very sparingly tonight. Well, I don't understand it.
I don't either. And same thing last year. He has been undetectable as a weapon, like the stealth bomber. Culver to the 6-yard line. And that's a Notre Dame first down.
I can tell you this about Derek Brown, though. The guy can block, and that's one of the reasons they're running so effectively. Watch him right here, number 86. Watch what he does. Boom, makes contact. Now it's just a stalemate. Holds him up long enough for Culver to come back inside of him and pick up an extra 5 yards. That's a whale of a block by Derek Brown.
And again, Waters looking around to the home crowd and stirring him up, pumping his fist in the air. And that's how this drive started. He came out. He's one of the 4 co-captains for Notre Dame. They were in a lull. They were down 10. That's leadership. 1st and goal. Here he is, Waters. Driving to the 1-yard line. Now the entire crowd on its feet as it's 2nd and goal from the 1. Looking down the I formation behind Meyer. Culver and Waters And Culver goes across for a Notre Dame touchdown. Extra point attempt with 12:59 left in the contest. Hendrick. Three-point game, 24-21, Michigan.
Rodney Culver, low center of gravity, 220 pounds. Watch him here. Watch what he does to number 30 in white. 233-pound captain linebacker put his head right in the chest of Milligan. Took him right into the end zone with him. Touchdown, Irish.
Notre Dame storms 80 yards in 11 plays to cut the lead to 3. Pictures coming your way from the Goodyear blimp, and Captain Larry Chambers has informed us there's a front headed this way. A system of showers that could reach the stadium area before the end of this game.
For Michigan.
Howard from the goal line. Not even out to the 20-yard line. Let's tell you about next Saturday's lineup, the Cardinals and the Pirates. Of course, that'll be very important for the National League East. Many will see that game. Others will watch the Red Sox. The Red Sox lead is down to 2. That 9th inning homer for Toronto, cutting the lead to 2 for Boston. So you'll see one of those 2 games. And then we'll have college football from Provo, San Diego State against BYU. And others will watch the game from Athens, Georgia, between the hedges, Alabama and the Dogs. First and 10, Michigan from the 18-yard line. Elvis Gerback calls timeout. He looks across the line into the eyes of Chris Zorich. Saw something else that wasn't right. And he says, let's talk about it. That's the first timeout called in the second half by either team. And we'll come back to South Bend in just a moment. Gerback and the Wolverines huddle with the 3-point lead. By the way, we alluded to the Elvis sighting earlier. Let's tell you that he was not named for the sensation out of Tupelo, Mississippi, and of course Memphis, Tennessee. His parents come from Yugoslavia. Elvis, the Gerbacks, and he says Elvis is a very common name in Yugoslavia.
His brother and sister were born in Yugoslavia. He went back 3 summers ago.
First and 10 for the Wolverines. Bunch for maybe 2. Late night at Notre Dame Stadium. The season opener for the nation's #1 ranked team, the Fighting Irish. And it's a 3-point lead for 4th ranked Michigan. 12:25 left in the contest. Second down 8 for Michigan from its own 20. Vaughn with room. Vaughn to the 30, to the 40, and tackled at the 41-yard line. Explosive speed on that one, and a gain of 22 for John Vaughn.
That play means a lot more than just a first down, because Notre Dame was playing with new intensity. Watch how they wall off the right side. There's no contained man there, and Vaughn takes it into the secondary. Again, the outside containment was lost by the linebacker on the outside.
1st and 10. Vaughn comes right back, cuts to the right side to gain 9 yards. Vaughn is posting some big-time numbers against the Irish. 167 now on the ground for the sophomore John Vaughn. From Florissant, Missouri. Gary Moeller came into this game looking for a tailback. He said Vaughn and Jefferson were pretty even. Jefferson has scored a touchdown tonight, but Vaughn has led the way on the ground for the Wolverines. 2nd and 1. Gerback goes long down the sideline. Oh! Howard had a step on his defender.
Great adjustment by Gerback, though. He was looking to the left side. Devin McDonald, number 45, the outside linebacker from Notre Dame, was coming on a stunt. He had that side completely closed off and was going to sack Gerback until he readjusted what he was doing, rolled to the right side, and found his man, Desmond Howard. Gerback now in the second half. 7 for 10, 102 yards, touchdown.
3rd and 1. Ball right at midfield. Jefferson is in the game. Bunch gets the call. I believe he's short. That's one thing about the previous play. Gerback had enough running room. He could have easily trotted for the first, but since Howard was open, he went for the long strike and overthrew him.
It's close. They're going to measure it. Depends on the mark again, but the play was made by Chris Zorich, the nose tackle. Got great penetration. Now, on a short yardage defense, his chin has to be practically on the ground. He's got to immediately attack Steve Everett, the center, try to get inside him, down low, and establish a new line of scrimmage a yard deep and let the linebackers fill.
You remember how mad Gary Moeller was in the first half about the one marking he got where they came up short on 4th down?
I sure do.
I think they just returned the favor. I didn't think they gained much more than a half yard. Let's see. They're stretching it out. And do they bring back the index card? No. Yeah, that one will need a leaflet.
That's what I was talking about, though, Jim. Chris Zorich made that play. He stopped them from getting the first down.
How about this? Moeller talks to his quarterback, and with 11 minutes left in the game and the ball right at midfield, Moeller appears to be going for it.
They're 1 of 2 on 4th down conversions tonight.
Vaughn comes in along with the extra tight end.
Huge gamble with 11:09 left in the ball game.
Again, they could be just trying to draw Notre Dame off sides.
They didn't do that the first 2 times.
No, they didn't. Set up in a wishbone. They run a play with Vaughn. First down and more to the 40, to the 30, and down to the 25-yard line.
How about that? You talk about a gamble.
I am telling you, the first huge decision of Gary Moeller's career. And I got to tell you, John Vaughn, I did not see a lot of running room initially, but he found it. He found the hole.
They've been picking on the outside all afternoon. There's 41, Reggie Brooks. He was cut immediately, and Vaughn just again took the outside, cut into the safety before he was finally taken down.
Brooks could have shut down that play, but Vaughn escaped him. 1st and 10. Jefferson now. Jefferson inside the 20 and down to the 11. George Poorman on the tackle. That's a gain of 14 on the play.
Tackle was made by Titus Poorman. Gain of 14. First down at the 11.
This hurry-up offense, Jim, has been very, very effective against Notre Dame tonight.
They've never backed away from it either. They've stayed with this throughout. Jefferson remains in the game on 1st and 10 at the 11. Gerback's pass lofted into the end zone and picked off. Michael Stonebreaker. Gary Moeller says, "What are you doing?" They are just blowing off Notre Dame at the line of scrimmage and running the ball effectively. And they go to the air here on 1st and 10 at the 11.
Thursday night, we had dinner with Stonebreaker. He says in Gary Darnell's new defense, I am more involved in pass coverage. I've got to be more reckless. I've got to drop back into a zone. Look at the top right hand of your screen. Number 42, that's Stonebreaker. Drops back into a hook area, then reads the pass, floats back to it, and makes one-handed interception. He's got 9 tackles tonight, and that pick right there, one INT.
That was an audible, you think, from Gerback?
It was a poor decision, I can tell you that. I don't know if it was an audible. Might have been a check at the line, but it was a poor decision to go to the end zone.
They'll take it out at the 20. 1st and 10, Notre Dame. Tony Brooks spinning around for 8. Todd played on the tackle.
Michael Stonebreaker was in an auto accident, broke his kneecap, dislocated his hip. They didn't know if he'd ever walk again. Faced adversity, lost his license because there was alcohol in the system at the accident. Graduated last semester. Now he's in grad school, squared away, got his life going again.
2nd down to Rodney Culver. Past the 30, which is good enough for the 1st down. Clock is running with 9:20 left in the contest. And Michigan leading 24-21. Gerald to the left, Lake Dawson to the right. And the Rocket is the tailback out of the eye on 1st down. He gets to carry. Here he goes, he explodes free, the Rocket to the 50, look out! Oh, he is caught by David Key. But a gain of 35.
Another one of those guys you don't like to analyze his style, you just want to admire it. He's got explosive speed. Once he's through the line of scrimmage and into the secondary, one juke move, and now he's just going to try to outrace the secondary. David Key, I'm not sure how he caught him from behind. He had a pursuit angle. Rocket tried to take it to the sideline, and Key caught him.
I thought that was a 6-pointer. Here he is again. This time just back to the line of scrimmage. I really didn't expect him to get caught on that one.
Excellent speed, phenomenal speed, excellent balance, instinct, and intelligence. Started out at wide receiver tonight. He's been the kick returner. Had one of the most sensational runs you can imagine from the tailback spot in the scrimmage a couple of weeks ago. Actually, it was during spring, the film we were watching at that particular time.
What a move he made in that game. 2nd down, 11. Meyer out of the pocket, throws, intercepted. Intercepted by Murray. Veda Murray intercepts Rick Meyer, who was running to his left, threw back to his right, over his intended target.
Lou Holtz will have some counsel now and try to teach the young quarterback. This, too, is a bad decision. Now, watch. He's just a sophomore. Here's his first read. Steps up into the pocket nicely, but now has to throw back across his body, off balance, and the ball is woefully overthrown. And here comes Veda Murray, 4 interceptions last year. He makes the calls in the defensive secondary. He's the quarterback back there.
That is another turnover against Notre Dame, the 3rd of the night. 2 fumbles and now an interception. 7:57 left in the contest. Wolverines by 3 with the football at their own 18. This is Vaughn. He can go over 200 on that carry. He does.
Jim, these are the most yards rushing allowed by Notre Dame since Blair Thomas rushed for 214 yards in 1987. So Vaughn does go over 200 and gets ever so close to Thomas's numbers.
21 carries, 202 yards. Almost 10 yards a carry. Second down and 5. Vaughn again. Vaughn is caught from behind by George Williams. Notre Dame has all 3 of its timeouts left. You know, Tennessee's already played 4 games, having opened the season now against Colorado. It's hard to believe. That's 4 games for them in the opener for these two.
How about losing a running back, the talent of Chuck Webb, and reloading with Thompson and coming in and continuing to play at the same level?
A timeout called by Notre Dame. They have 2 remaining. On 3rd and 4, the defense called the timeout. 6:55 left in the contest, and a big play coming up for the Wolverines. What more could you expect out of Michigan and Notre Dame? Well, of course, another close one. These two have a history of that, Timmy.
You are expecting a close one. The last 4 games at Notre Dame Stadium between these two clubs have come down to the final possession, decided by a combined total of 11 points. The Irish have won 17 straight games in this stadium. Their last loss was in 1986 against Penn State.
3rd down, 5, we'll call it. Stonebreaker showing blitz. Here they come. They get the pass away to Vaughn. Vaughn slashes back to the middle. A great move, and is tackled near the 1st down yardage. Notre Dame brought everyone on that one, it seemed.
Blitz coming. 42 showed his hand early. DeBose 31 coming from the outside. Gerbeck still cool. Sets up the screen. And then Vaughn running against pursuit. Runs right by people. Play was finally made.
Reggie Brooks tackled him, and it's a 1st down for Michigan. Got it by less than a yard. 6:30 to go. And a chance to use more of the clock. Vaughn with a 1-yard pickup. John Vaughn, though, really made that play to pick up the 1st down. There were defenders out there.
Look at number 50. That's Zorich. Immediately explodes off the ball, makes contact with the center. Steve Everett releases, gets off the block, and makes the tackle.
2nd down, 9. Michigan at its own 30 with a 3-point lead. Bunch. This will set up 3rd and about 7 as he gains only 2. Demetrius DeBose on the tackle.
Notre Dame tried to shoot the gap. They were effective doing it. They moved Zorich off the nose, moved him over into a gap. They all slanted the opposite way of light. You know, this front 7, the strength of this defense, has been somewhat beleaguered here tonight by the big Michigan linemen.
They must come up with a play here with 5:20 to go. It's 3rd and 7. Gerbeck sets up the screen, and Bunch is tackled by DeBose. Oh, he had to make the play because there was enough room there otherwise for Bunch to pick up the 1st. Now the Wolverines will punt.
You know, I immediately watched that play and think of what Darnell told us when we met with him yesterday, the defensive coordinator. He said Grimm used to be the starter, but DeBose, he closes so fast with 4.5 speed once a play starts, and that's exactly what happened that time. He read his key, stayed with his man, the swing out of the backfield, and closed on it quickly.
With no pressure, the punt is away by Ascona. And a rocket is tackled immediately by Welburn. Good special teams play by Welburn tonight, as well as a sack of a quarterback. Running back a couple of punts for big yardage. But now Notre Dame takes the field. The Irish trailing by 3. With it, Michigan 24, Notre Dame 21. Last 4.5 minutes in this game. Let's remind you that tomorrow a doubleheader coming your way. In fact, it starts in a little more than 12 hours from right now. Greg and Terry, Leslie and Pat will be there. And then big game early, Chicago, Green Bay. Most will see that. And late, the headliner is Washington, San Francisco. But check your local listings, game and time in your area. From the 24-yard line. 76 yards away from a possible victory. Meyer throws over the head of Smith at the 45.
Meyer's pass intended for Tony Smith, incomplete.
Ricky Waters is going to go back to the huddle, and he's going to tell Meyer, he says, hey, listen, you run that play again, just look over the middle because I came free.
That is Lloyd Carr. He is the defensive coordinator for the Wolverines. Longtime Michigan assistant. Second down, 10. With all kinds of time, Meyer will run it out of bounds at the 27. Set up a 3rd and long.
He was just playing hide and seek back there behind Big G McGuire. McGuire's 6'5", 270, engaged in his block, and it looked like he was just dancing toe-to-toe with his man, and Meyer just hid behind him for a few seconds, couldn't find a receiver, and finally took it to the sidelines. Interesting. In it a year ago, they were saying, boy, I hope nothing happens to Tony Rice. If he gets hurt, we'll have to play the freshman, Rick Meyer. Now they're saying, boy, I hope nothing happens to Meyer.
Gene McGuire, the left tackle, helped give him protection on that play. Now 3rd down and 6. Punt fake. Now rolling, somewhat unsure, but now on target to Smith, and a 1st down at the 42-yard line. Oh, gain of 13.
Again, it was McGuire that gave him the shield. Watch number 76. See him in the left ear corner, but this is the same kind of throw he had intercepted just a little while ago. Tried to throw across his body, off balance, pushed. Gain of 13. Strong throw. Nice play by Smith, too. Sat down, made the curl, got in the hook pattern, raised his hand, let the quarterback know he was there.
Tell you what's interesting. The clock that Rick Meyer is facing, looking straight ahead, has gone out. It shows nothing. Here's an option play on 1st down. Ricky Waters, 1st down and into Michigan territory at the 43. We're under 4 minutes to go. And the one clock that is working is that Notre Dame's back.
Watch Waters now, ranked among the nation's leaders over his career, all-purpose yards. Averages 12 yards every time he touches it. You know, he played in one of the most impressive backfields in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania you'll ever see. Waters was in there along with Sean Borowski, who went to Penn State, now is at Syracuse. James Bryant, who plays at Ohio State. They all played out of the wing T.
Waters set out now as a receiver at the bottom of your screen. 1st and 10. They set it up for Culver. Breaks away from one tackle. And is inside the 40. Brian Townsend takes him down. Each team with 2 timeouts remaining.
Gain of 6. 2nd and 4.
You see Rick Meyer looking behind at the scoreboard clock in the other end zone. That's the only one working, just keeping track of the time. Straight ahead, it shows nothing on the board. That's the Rocket carrying for a 1st down, Notre Dame.
There'll be a measurement.
Well, gave it to him a little early because now they've decided to bring out the chains and check for the 1st. 2:40 on the clock.
First down, Notre Dame.
1st down for the Irish. So we'll start up the clock. And again, Meyer has nothing to look at. He has to look behind him to keep track of it, as you see. On 1st and 10, swings it over to Ismail. To the 29-yard line. Staying in bounds, and the clock will run. You know, the kids on this team, the football team, especially Waters and Zurich, in the spring, tagged Meyer with the nickname of Montana. That came from the team, not from the media. And anybody who knows about Joe Montana's career, and that's all football fans, they know that Montana's the greatest ever at bringing a team back. Meyer attempting to do that here. 2nd and 6. First down, Notre Dame inside the 20. A gain of 11.
Boy, what a night Rodney Culver's having. You say, well, he wasn't involved in that play. Hey, I'll tell you something. He throws the block that makes this play work. Watch number 5 right here. That block sets Meyer free where he can throw, get a good push, and get it out to Rocket.
That throw with a lot of zip, and continues to throw most of the time on rollouts. But 1st and 10, Notre Dame. Now 1:45 left. 2 timeouts for each team.
Look who's wide. It's Derek Brown.
He's rolling that way. Instead, it's Gerald at the goal line. Notre Dame takes the lead. Extra point, high snap, but the kick is up on its way and good. A good job there by Sexton on the hole. 28-24, Notre Dame over Michigan. 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns for the Irish.
Derek Brown lined up wide, Gerald inside. Both receivers somehow ended up in the same area, but watch this. Either one could have made the catch. See 86 there, that's Brown. 10, Gerald. It's unusual to see the tight end go out that wide, but the scouts say he's like Keith Jackson or Kellen Winslow. Here they get him involved, and then Gerald comes right underneath of him. See that?
Could not have asked for a better pass. The first touchdown pass of Rick Meyer's career at Notre Dame. But still, 1 minute 40 seconds remaining for this man. Gary Moeller. Adrian Gerald with the go-ahead touchdown. Sophomore from Athens, Georgia.
How about Meyer in that drive? 5 for 6, 52 yards.
Gerback will have his chance. The kick will be run out by Howard. He's got room. Howard to the 40. And then met head on by Craig Hendrick, the kicker. A 41-yard return. And I'll tell you, the kicker didn't back down. Hendrick stood him right up.
Notre Dame players stay in their lanes. But everybody in a white jersey puts a hat on somebody. He cuts it up here. Watch what he does to the kicker, though. You said the kicker, Hendrick, made the tackle, but watch. Puts him right on his back. We call that a pancake.
From the 41, great starting position. Gerback intercepted. Reggie Brooks. timeouts remaining for Michigan. They can only stop the clock twice. Michigan entered this quarter with a 24-14 lead. Flag is down.
Delay of game again. If you watch this, you'll see that number 41, Brooks, is actually given too much cushion, but the ball's overthrown. The receiver drops in between the linebacker and the secondary, and the ball's overthrown. That's a tough play. You know, that's a bad decision by the quarterback. There's no way he could have gotten that in there.
No question about it. That was a real force, and he overthrew his man as well. And Reggie Brooks makes the interception.
You saw Andre Jones, number 7, the outside linebacker. He had gotten back into his hook area. Brooks was back on his corner. Well, I tell you what, when you get a receiver in the middle of those two guys, that's a difficult throw. I don't care if you're Joe Montana.
1st and 15 now. Meyer will roll it, keep it, and slide smartly. Don't want to keep running out there where you might get bumped out of bounds and stop the clock. Here's the timeout called by the Wolverines, leaving them with one timeout remaining for Michigan. Number 1, Notre Dame has come back to take the lead and has the football. Well, the Moeller era began tonight for Michigan. Yes, he had coached the team in a fill-in role back in '88 in the Hall of Fame, but this is his first game, and Rick Myers as well. Meyer has led his team back, throwing the touchdown to put him in front just moments ago. Here on 2nd and 13, he dives to the 49, and the Wolverines use their last timeout. With 1 minute 2 seconds to go, it's conceivable Michigan can get the football back.
It is that. 1:02, 2 plays left offensively. They have to stop them. They have to get the ball back. They will have some time, not very much.
Look at Lou Holtz bring the whole offensive unit over to talk about it. Top 10, this is the way it started today. Auburn won, Florida State a victory. BYU came from behind. USC up into Penn State. Tennessee now 3-0-1 with a landslide victory tonight. Nebraska, Colorado suffers a 1-point loss, and Miami wins against California. Well, you know, you see players built up often before they've even taken the field. Like a Jennifer Capriati in tennis, how her career had been brought up all before the nation, and she delivered. Rick Meyer tonight, same thing for Notre Dame.
He sure has. 14 of 23, 166 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. But he did exactly what Lou Holtz told him to do. Play within the system. Protect the ball.
Let's see what Lou elects to do here. 3rd and 9 with 1:02 left. Culver is the one back. Brooks on a wing. Meyer will handle it. No exchanges. It'll be 4th down from the 45 of Michigan.
Boy, they almost let him squeeze out of there.
They haven't started the down clock. They haven't set it. Now they do. Notre Dame can run it down to about 21 seconds and take a delay of game penalty if they want.
I'll tell you this. Michigan's lining up for a punt return, but Meyer's still in the ball game. Lou Holtz is just going to use as much of the clock as he possibly can. The clock continues to roll. There's 4 seconds on the play clock. So when Michigan gets it back here, they're going to have 22 seconds left.
Notre Dame took the timeout with 1 second left on the down clock. Now they bring the offensive unit out. The punting team getting last-second instructions from Lou Holtz.
I'll tell you this. Great coaches have the ability to adapt to personnel, adapt to changing times, and nobody adjusts to personnel better than Lou Holtz, and he's one of the best game coaches in the business, sideline coach. That was a brilliant move right there. Milk the clock, melt it down to 22 seconds, then give it back to him.
It's interesting. Earlier in this situation, from this distance, he used Jimmy Sexton as his punter. But he's going with Craig Hendrick now. Hendrick is the regular punter for Notre Dame. You read Lou's lips after Michigan scored its last touchdown to go up by 10. Yes, he was furious and he was intense, but he said we can come back.
He did say that. I'll tell you why they're using this punter now. You don't want a pooch punt here. You don't want to take a chance on a return. You want to just get this thing out of there. Just blast it. Get a good hang time.
Lance Johnson, the important task of snapping it back to Hendrick. A good snap. Big rush. The kick is off the side of Hendrick's foot. And they'll mark it at the 28-yard line.
Not exactly what they wanted, but they didn't get the return out of it. And you still have 15 seconds left. That was a 17-yard punt. Good pressure by Michigan.
Now 15 seconds to go. No timeouts for the Wolverines.
Ball goes out of bounds, 28-yard line.
You know they'll have Alexander in there along with Desmond Howard. Let's check first, though, the Notre Dame secondary in there. Todd Light.
They're going to have a soft cushion. You've got
Greg Davis, Foreman, and Reggie Brooks is in for Rod Smith.
Victory defense.
Van Dyne is the extra receiver for the Wolverines. Straight downfield, almost caught. Alexander in the middle of the field.
Time for one more.
This Notre Dame comeback fueled by a 3rd and 15 pass completion of 44 yards to Lake Dawson. You cannot ignore that as one of the key turnaround points of this ball game.
You know, we saw at the last snap, if you saw the picture, none of the secondary guys were even in the picture. They're 40 yards downfield. Matter of fact, Foreman's all the way back to the 25.
4 linemen will rush. The other 7 defenders are past the 50. Here comes Chris Zorich trying to end it quickly. And the clock expires. Notre Dame has come from behind to claim victory in its season opener. A history of close games in the 80s between these two. All won by Notre Dame, and yet another close one to open the 90s. Let's go down to John Dockery.
Lou, you were down by 10 points, yet you turned to your team and you said, we can come back. Were you that confident?
Well, I think you have to believe that. I believe in our football players. I give Michigan a great deal of credit. Their game plan was super. We've never had anybody move the ball on us like that since my first year at Notre Dame. And I give Michigan credit, but I'm very proud of our players. They just found a way to win. But Michigan really deserved a great deal of credit.
They certainly did. They played one heck of a game. You told us your quarterback was going to be a good one, and he is.
He is. He can play much better. He overthrew Tony Smith there, critical, but, you know, he kept his poise, and he did compete and did the things we had to do to win. We had 3 turnovers, and, boy, you can't do that against a team like Michigan.
Thanks a lot, Lou. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Back to you, Jim Nantz.
A great victory to open the season for the Fighting Irish. They raise their helmets to the stands, saluting their opening game victory.